says we're good. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Evan and Aaron Show presents the Red and the Blue Soccer Chat. It's your boy Evan and your boy Aaron here on Wednesday night. Aaron, my room is a little more festive. You know, I decided to kind of, hang up some jerseys to kind of represent the way we're going this summer. How you been, man? You been okay?
I'm doing all right, hanging in there, trying to get used to it being, needing to measure the temperature in Kelvin outside. It's been warm. It's been warm a little bit lately. Let me take these off. There's a bright glare coming in through the window there, and I needed to just kind of tone it down for a sec. But yeah, I'm doing all right, man. How you been?
You know what? The same thing, man. I've been lucky enough to be able to kind of pontificate educationally at home. So I've been
Nice.
saving on these gas prices, my man, and doing that. But bummer, first world problem. The pool that is literally steps away from my door is closed. It's been closed for like a week now because they're doing some maintenance to it. That sucks. That really, because now I have to go to the big pool where all the kids are.
Yeah.
So
good.
that's not a good thing. So anyway, I
Not
know
good, but I appreciate you getting out there busting up those stereotypes. I like that. I like that. I like that.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for joining us today. We have an interesting show for tonight. It is actually our short show. Oh, and
We're not sponsored. We're not sponsored.
No, we're not sponsored, but oh my goodness.
But if you'd like to, get at me.
Oh, that stuff is the best stuff, man.
You could pay me in that, and I'd be quite happy.
Oh yes, absolutely. The Crimson Line, that's what we'll call it. The Crimson Line.
Nice.
So tonight, man, I think we're going to get into Group F, and
Yeah,
we're
getting to Group F. This is pretty much an all international type show here, talking about what the U.S. men's national team has been up to. Where's my U.S. national team?
Right, there it is. Wait, there.
Oh. Nope, that is not it. We need an intern. We need an intern back.
There it is.
So, but yeah, definitely. I think kick it off with the most recent news of the World Cup 2026 being hosted by the United States, Mexico, and Canada. In no particular order, they awarded the 16 game sites, 11 U.S. cities, 3 Mexican and 2 Canadian. Some interesting choices, some obvious choices, some interesting snubs. When you read it, Evan, what immediately jumped out at you as far as interesting choices or non-choices, if you will?
Well, I mean, first of all, how exciting is it to have the 2026 World Cup here, on the North American continent? I'm excited about that. I think it gives opportunity for a lot of people to travel. Gives us the opportunity to see, North America if we so choose. I mean, there were some no-brainers in this. You absolutely. For me, SoFi Stadium is one of the most international venues that we have alongside of Hard Rock Stadium. So I think Miami and LA were natural choices. I think that you have to go there. You've got to go there. I do think the Northeast needs to be in that mix. I'm not sure we needed 3 areas in the Northeast. I'm not sure we needed that, Aaron. I'm okay with New York. I'm okay with Boston. I'm okay with Philly. I'm just not okay with all 3. And I think we talked about that. It's like, and I'll let you kind of get into that because you're the one that brought up that fact about the Midwest, and I'll let you talk a little bit about that. But it just seems like overkill. It just seems like overkill for me. And so, okay, great, that's fine. But Seattle, you got to have Seattle.
Yeah.
I mean, the Sounders, they just they won the CONCACAF. And so it's like you you got to give it to Seattle.
Mm-hmm.
Seattle has the best fans out there. Shout out to anybody who's watching us in Seattle. You guys are the best. You know, Portland, you guys are great too. That whole area up there,
Mm-hmm.
super, super great soccer region. You know, Atlanta, Mercedes-Benz Stadium. I mean,
So that's a beautiful stadium.
it's a
That is
beautiful
gorgeous.
stadium. Got to do that. The last thing I'll say, and then like I said, I want the listeners to hear what you had to say about the Midwest because you brought up so many good points. Um, the last thing I'll say is this: is that um, Houston, for me, I would have taken Houston over Dallas. I know Dallas Stadium, AT&T Stadium, is larger. Um, I I don't know. Maybe I'm not very friendly to billionaires right now. I don't know. And Jerry,
It's tough. It's
uh,
kind of tough. I give you
uh,
that.
it's like, oh my gosh. Ultimately, he owns the place, and he's going to get like paid for, big time for this. But anyway, that's kind of my hot take. You know, the few things I'll say about Mexico, Guadalajara, Monterrey. If you have a chance, go.
Yeah.
Mexico City, it's the Azteca. You gotta. I mean, I want to go see a match in the Azteca. You know, before I
Yeah.
die, I'd like to go
Yeah.
see that. You know, and then to Canada, Toronto, Vancouver, um, uh, wonderful cities,
Hmm.
international cities that are there for right for the taking. So please, go and check those places out.
Yeah.
But Aaron, I wanted to give you the time to kind of talk a little bit about your feelings about the selections in the U.S. and some of the things you saw in that, especially pertaining to the Midwest.
Yeah, I mean, I echo a lot of your sentiments, and I think when you look at sort of how um, these cities have been arranged, there's clearly been a certain amount of attention to proximity
Mm,
paid here. You know, you've got uh, Vancouver and Seattle pretty close to one another. San
right.
Fran and LA, in the grand scheme of things of the United States, not all that far from one another.
Yep.
Houston and Dallas, not all that far from one another. Mexico City, Guadalajara, and Monterrey, again, in the scope of things, not all that far apart. Atlanta
Five, six
and
hours.
Orlando, or Atlanta and Miami, Philly, Boston, and New York. And again, I'm not really mad at the selection of any of those stadiums. And I think it was an interesting and bold and progressive choice to choose SoFi over the Rose Bowl. You know, the Rose Bowl's the classic. You know, it's been basically the host of U.S. major events, Olympics, previous,
Sure,
you know, the '94 World Cup.
sure.
But that stadium, SoFi, is fantastic. But in the interest of you know growing this game in the United States,
Hmm.
you know, we've seen a lot of games getting played in Cincinnati,
Yeah,
Columbus, Nashville, Minneapolis. You know, we've put some newer, smaller markets that have embraced the game front and center. So I think I'm most disappointed that there weren't more Midwest options. Kansas
right.
City's a fantastic choice. It's a beautiful stadium. I have no issues with it. But
Hmm.
you snubbed Nashville, you snubbed Denver. The closest for us to go to is going to be to go to Philly. And I got no problem with Lincoln Financial Field. And I have no
Yeah.
problem with, like you said, Philly, New York, Boston. Did we need all three?
Hmm.
You know, and I get it. That's that region that everybody's used to. But you know, if you were that worried about proximity, why didn't you do Orlando, Miami? If you were that worried about proximity, why didn't
True.
you do a Kansas City, St. Louis
Yeah.
kind of thing?
Jackson, Orlando, Miami. I mean,
You know,
just
there were some interesting options that weren't chosen. I'll say the Baltimore Washington joint bid seemed doomed from the start. And,
mm,
you know, FIFA doesn't really release a whole lot as to why they didn't choose any particular cities or why they did choose. They basically just say, this is what we're doing, and you guys
yeah.
get to go with it. And they don't, you know, as far as I could tell, there's not a lot of here's the criteria they're specifically choosing on. And obviously size doesn't matter all that much because BMO Field up in Toronto is only 45,000. It's
Right.
it's by far the smallest stadium.
Yeah.
So concerns about some other places, I don't know. I'm just as a Midwestern fan of the game and having seen how the Midwest region has really embraced it and has been put on display by U.S. soccer itself.
Yeah.
Cincinnati and Columbus have been hosting
You,
matches, whether they're friendlies or whatever, all over the place. We've thrown Minneapolis in there in the last couple of years as well. I'm disappointed in that respect, but I'm excited. I want to share real quick because
yeah.
that
No, go ahead.
it's stuff like this that I think people don't don't always know about. But here's the stadium. Well, here's the stadium in Monterey, and you'll notice that it slants down.
Wow.
So all the people over here get a slightly different view, and here's their view, Evan. A mountain range in the background. This
Oh,
is where I want to go watch a World Cup match, and I don't
planning.
care who's playing. I don't care if this is Belgium versus Morocco in the first round. I don't care. I want to see a soccer match
Dude.
in this stadium.
So I have a friend who is a travel agent. Lisa, listen, if you stumble on this and you see, hey, be be great friends of the pod and get us a nice little
Mm.
discount, okay, to get old Monterey. Holy cow, dude,
It's gorgeous,
that's
right?
gorgeous.
And you think about all of these places, and this is the beauty of the World Cup, is there was an opportunity for a country, or in this case, multiple countries, to really show off some places that maybe tourists wouldn't necessarily go to. Yes, we know of New York, we know of all these places, and people do go to them, but the
Mhm.
opportunity to show them off all at once. Maybe Atlanta isn't top of some people's list. Atlanta is a hidden gem as far as I'm concerned. It's a beautiful
Hey,
city. It's got great Southern heritage. It's got great Black heritage. It's
yep.
really got a lot to offer people to show American history when they might just end up at Times Square in New York City, or they might end up, um, you know, at the market in San Francisco, which all of those places are great.
Yep.
I'm super looking forward to it, and folks, we are going. So
And
if,
and
if
that's the
you
thing.
if you want to hook up with the pod and meet us, we're gonna say for you. Here's the thing, Evan. This is what I hope.
Yeah, yeah.
4 years from now, I hope that we are at the World Cup and somebody goes, "Hey, those are those two idiots from Indiana talking about soccer that aren't from Chelsea, that aren't from London or Manchester, and have
Oh
chosen
my
these two teams."
goodness.
I want that for us, Evan. That is my goal. That is my goal.
Are you going to say Shannon Sharp's going to be like, Skip, Evan and Aaron are the best show on TV right now.
That came
They're the
from
best.
nothing, Skip. That came from nothing, Skip. Nothing.
Man, that's awesome.
That's what I want for us.
Well, you know what? I think that we can. I think we just keep plugging away and keep talking to the right folks. We can get it done, man. I'm excited. I really am. I hope
Oh,
that families take this, and I'm saying families. Oh,
yes.
families, friends. You look toward 2026 because here's the deal: is that most of us are not filthy rich. Most of us don't have disposable income where we can just be like, hey, I'm going to drop 10 G's and just have a good time. So what I'm doing, and this is the blue
Yeah.
saving plan. I'm literally socking stuff away, like saying, okay, I know in 2026,
Yeah.
which, by the way, ladies and gentlemen, on Saturday begins the final year that I can say that I'm in my 40s. I don't know how I'm feeling about that, Aaron. But anyway, it's going to be around my birthday, and so I'm like, you know what? Why not make the whole experience
Yes.
like part of my birthday celebration? Like
Mm-hmm.
pick a time where I can just be like, hey, you know what, Aaron? Let's go. And whoever would like to go with us can go, and we literally just see what this continent has to offer people.
I'm absolutely with you in I think the beauty of it is the expanse of North America will be mind-blowing to a lot of people. I went to Germany in 2006, and it is a massive, massive country.
Mm,
And yet it barely takes up the center of this nation.
Yeah.
And there was so much to see and do. So I'm excited for people from Japan to end up in Kansas City and go to Joe's Barbecue.
Yeah.
I'm excited for
Right.
people from Costa Rica to end up in Philly and get a cheesesteak. I'm
Mm-hmm.
excited for people to end up, in Seattle and go to the Pike's Place Market, I think is what's called, and watch people tossing fish. I want
Go
this
to LA
for
and go to Wahoo's Fish Tacos, baby. Woohoo!
I want this for people. I want people to go to San Francisco and like I got to go to South Africa and go to Cape Town, but while I was there, we went out to Stellenbosch to their wine country. I want people to go to San
Oh,
Francisco,
goodness.
go to that Santa Clara game, go to the 49er Stadium, whatever it's called,
Yep.
but then go drive north and drink
Go
some
to
of the
Sonoma.
best wine in the world. And yes, French folks, that is some of the best wine in the world. And I've been to both, and I'll put them right up next to each other.
Okay.
It's good. But I'm with you, Evan. I'm just super excited. It's wonderful that we're hosting it, and there's a lot of negative things to say about Qatar, but I'm still looking forward to it as well. And it's just exciting. It's really exciting to have this happen.
Didn't you
And
say that the podcast budget is going to pay for us to go to Qatar?
that's the goal once we monetize the site.
Wow. Boy,
Whenever
that
we
got
can
a
start
good laugh
charging
out
for
of you.
episodes or get some sort of sponsorship, that might work. In the meantime,
Bayless, we need you. We need you. Come on, guys.
Crimson whatever,
Lines.
Crimson Sash.
Come on. Yeah, Crimson Sash. Ladies and gentlemen, we have reached the
Have we?
halftime.
Is it halftime? Yeah. This is a short show, folks.
Yeah.
This is a short show.
We've reached a halftime, and my halftime shot is going to, we just celebrated Father's Day. Just celebrated Father's Day. And got word just recently that the old man is kind of not feeling well. And, just been off his feet for a couple days. And hopefully...
That's what you get for hating on soccer.
I
If you would embrace the beautiful game, I think you might feel a little bit better about life.
I wasn't going to say it. But I'm going to give this shout out to Bill Casey, Dad. Obviously you're by default a pseudo friend of the pod because of some of your comments that you make, but we still love you and hope that you are able to recover soon, bud. All right, and just for you, I'm using my Las Vegas shot glass right there. So.
All I've got to add to that is I thought it was fitting for this country and where it's been in the last couple of years, and to also honor you and your father that Juneteenth fell on this Father's Day weekend, and it gave us a lot to think about and remember and celebrate. So, Bill Casey, proud father, proud black father, I salute you as well.
Slinky.
Alrighty. So continuing with, this is basically an international theme. Since the last time we got together, United States men's national team played 2 more games. They were both in the CONCACAF Nations League, for whatever that is worth. One match was at home to Grenada, and it was pretty much what you expected. But we'll dive into that here in a second. But you say expected, but then if they'd only won 2-0, and it was only, I think, 1-0 going into halftime, there was frustrations, I believe.
Yeah.
But ultimately got the result needed, and then went down to El Salvador and played on a just criminal pitch. I wouldn't have allowed this in my Sunday rec league. Never mind what's supposed to be 2 full international squads playing against each other in a competition that's supposed to matter.
Right.
Really, really disgraceful in a lot of ways, and that's probably the only way. Although, to be fair, the goal El Salvador scored was sick. That guy took it was the one chance in his entire life that everything came together, and he rose to that moment. So I applaud him. But I applaud the United States for showing some pluck. And look, it was all U.S. in the second half. They
Well,
were
yeah.
banging on that door, and it was difficult conditions, and they found the goal. And I don't think Jordy's going to make it, but Jordy's a great story in the fact that he's still hanging around the national team. I think says a lot about the mentality that's needed. You can talk about it all you want, but they got the result that was needed. You were never going to go down there and win 5-0 again in some sloppy soup like that.
No, 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 no.
So I was pleased. I'd like to think we've come away from these 4 matches and heading into what's happening in the fall. They've scheduled two games, one with Japan, one with Iran. So 2 World Cup teams
Yeah.
in prepping for the World Cup. So I think we're in a good place. I like what I've seen on the field. I still have concerns about our number 9, but other than that, I think we're largely solid. And I won't be, there's couple guys at a few positions that there's still question marks over who's the starting goalkeeper, but I got to be
Yes.
honest, I think they're all solid choices, and I won't be terribly upset. This isn't it's obvious Tim Howard is the best, or it's obvious Brad Guzan's the only one here. These are 3 guys that kind of are all having the same moment. They've reached top clubs, but they're not starting for those top clubs.
Mm-hmm.
But I won't be terribly upset, and I think you choose the guy that's on form, and Berhalter seems to be figuring out what he wants. So, Evan, did anything catch your eye, or do you have any concerns as we move toward, thinking about the fall fixtures and then getting ready for the World Cup?
Well, I mean, Areola getting a red card kind of sucks. I mean, does he have to sit out? Since
He'll
it's
sit. He'll
friendly, right?
No, because they turned it into this CONCACAF,
Oh yeah,
competition kind of competitive friendlies. Said officer contradiction.
Oh my gosh, that is going to be like your shtick. That's
It
what
is. It's just silly. I understand the premise behind it,
Yeah.
but
Yes.
it look at what was going. Look at what they're doing in Europe, where it's tiered. Okay,
Sure,
so
sure.
you've got similar teams grouped together, and here we are playing Grenada.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
who does that benefit? It doesn't benefit Grenada to get blown out 5-0, and quite frankly, it doesn't tell us anything about Jesus Ferreira. Not for nothing, guys. If I was 22 years old again, I could probably score 3 goals against Grenada.
Oh man. Well, where I was going with this,
If we had listeners, I'd be catching shit right now.
I know you would be. And where I'm going with this, you just set it up. I totally have to disagree, dude. This is
Really?
why you play the game. This is why that you get on the pitch, is because at any given time, I mean, you saw what Grenada did the first 42 minutes, and a lot of people are like, "Oh my gosh, the U.S. is falling apart." Blah, blah. No, we'll go back and watch the match.
I won't.
Grenada played. I know you won't. I know, but they played.
Actually, you know me. I'll put it on in the background sometime and be like, you know what? This is some bullshit. He's right.
So you can prove me wrong. No, but they were playing good enough to keep
Ask
US
Mrs. Evan and Aaron show, and she'll be like, this dumbass puts on games from like the 2002 World Cup just to be like, do you remember when Landon Donovan scored a goal off the guy's back against Portugal or whoever? And I'll be like, yeah, I know. It was like the 15th minute, and it was crazy. And she'll be like, you're an idiot. I'm a savant is what I am. I'm a soccer savant.
There you go. There you go. There you go. But I will say this. A hat trick against any team in international play, whether it be a competitive friendly or not, in my opinion, shows something, right? Because depending on the level of play, depending on what you're trying to prove and what you're trying to do, Ferreira needed that match. He needed that match.
He did.
Because I think games prior to that match, a couple games prior to that match, he didn't really put himself out as the forerunner for his position. I think that match right there shows what he can do and shows what he should do against a lesser opponent. I think the U.S. were able to showcase a lot of things. I think that one of the not unsung heroes of that match, was Paul Areola. And Kellen Acosta. They played wonderfully. No, not Acosta. Sorry. Oh my God, Wes McKinney. They played great, and I'm glad to see that. Now, Here's what I'm worried about, though. I'm not worried, but I have a feeling that Aaron Horvath could possibly not be the starting goalkeeper for the United States.
Ethan Horvath.
Ethan.
I,
I don't think he has a lot of ground to make up. He has a lot of ground to make up because, in my opinion, Sean Johnson played an incredible match. He played an incredible match against Grenada, and I know level play. I get it. But the saves that guy made in that match, just the sheer athleticism of them. I like how he's playing right now. I like, the way that he's moving, the decisions he's making on the ball. I think it's going to, Horvath, he can't sit back. Like, he can't sit back. And the goal that they scored against Horvath, I know that everything, all the stars aligned. I don't know, man.
I think Sean Johnson's on the outside looking in.
Okay.
No, I thought he played fine, but right now the decision is between Zach Steffen, Ethan Horvath, and Matt Turner.
Yeah. And who do you think out of those? I think
Matt Turner. Matt Turner. I mean, he seems to. First off, all three of them are solid. Mm-hmm. I don't really have an issue. None of them are Tim Howard's or Brad Friedel's, but they're pretty good goalkeepers. I think of the three of them,
you don't take.
No, I mean, I don't discount him. I don't have a problem, but you've got three guys who are backup goalkeepers for clubs in Europe, and Matt Turner is going to Arsenal.
Yeah.
He's going to get FA Cup games. He's going to get low-level, whatever, Europa League games, whatever Arsenal qualified for. Sorry, Arsenal fans. Yeah, I got it. United didn't either, but still, fuck off. But I think Matt Turner's the on-form goalkeeper at this moment, and he seems to have the maturity level that the other two don't. I like Ethan. I like Zach. They just don't seem to. I think Matt Turner could find himself being a Tim Howard. I think he'll end up being a starting goalkeeper for a decent level club. Zach Steffen and Ethan Horvath, I mean, they've been stuck behind guys and they've not claimed their place. And I'm not saying Matt Turner's going to become Arsenal's starting goalkeeper. Aaron Ramsdale's played his ass off. Right. But Matt Turner might get some opportunities and then end up as Fulham's goalkeeper or some shit like that, right?
Mm-hmm. Sure.
I'm not concerned about the goalkeeper position. I think you choose the guy that's on form and you go to your starting back four and go, who are you most comfortable with? Because that's what's important. Who's talking to you? Who's giving you the information that you need? Who do you feel confident standing in front of? That goes a long way. We don't have a real number 9. I don't think.
No, you're right.
I don't think the game against Grenada really showed me enough about Jesus Ferreira. And if pressed right now, I think Tim Weah should be moved over from the wing to play there. And we've got plenty of attacking wingers. We're solid there. We can play Brendan Aronson, right? We can push Musa out there if we want to. We can do a lot of different things and be okay. I'm not worried about that all that much. I'm excited to play Japan and Iran. I think that's really, really going to be interesting. I think we don't show our hand. I think Berhalter should go into those matches looking to experiment with an already decided team. Mm-hmm. I know my starting 11. Now I'm going to tweak it just a little bit. I'm going to throw a curveball at Japan. I'm not going to show everybody in the world our starting 11.
No, not at all. Not at all. I think my thing with Ethan Horvath is this. I think that when Nottingham Forest, when they're playing, Sheffield, when they're playing Sheffield, and they're playing for, a cup, for crying out loud, when when you as a goalkeeper, as their quote unquote number one goalkeeper, don't even start. Like you don't start those 2 games. For me, that says something. For
Mhm.
me, that says something. It says, you know what? And it might just be a blip. It might just be that he was off his game for a little while. But I'm not sure his confidence is there yet.
No,
I'm not.
no,
I'm
and
not sure his confidence is there yet, man. And I think that move right there, I, I think that like I said, it speaks volumes. At least to me, it
mm,
speaks volumes as about about the trust, about the ability that Nottingham thinks that he has, and if he can't start such an important 2 matches against Sheffield,
mhm.
then how's he going to start for the U.S. national team? That's my thing.
Agreed.
I'm,
Absolutely
you
agreed.
know,
No. I think we're on the same page here. And again, I think we've got just under 5 months till the opening day of the World Cup for, some of these decisions to be made. All three of these guys are going to get some decent minutes in cup competitions and maybe force their way into some starting lineups early in the season while they're trying to figure out, right? The Turners at Arsenal, but Horvath and Zach Steffen are at clubs that can afford to give them different opportunities, right?
sure,
So
sure,
if between now and September, October, maybe they do grab it. Maybe they do say, "Look, I'm going to have some good performances and put themselves in the mix." But if you were asking me to pick my number one today, it's Matt
yeah,
Turner.
absolutely. And listen, if by some weird chance, Ethan, you hear this podcast, please use this and use this as motivation to be like, yeah, I told you, suckers. I mean, we're
Yeah,
pulling
not
for
hating.
we're
I
pulling
mean,
for.
I
We're not
like all
hating.
three of them. I like all
Yeah, I
four.
like
Sean Johnson's nice.
yeah, yes, Sean Johnson. I'm telling you, he right now for me, he's probably my number 2.
Mm.
He's probably my number 2 keeper. Um, like I said, I was impressed by his athleticism. But I'm sorry. Go ahead. What were you gonna say?
No. I thought he had a fine game. I question that he has enough experience
Okay.
to be a number one for the national team at a World Cup just yet. But if
Right.
he ends up
Right.
being the second or third choice goalkeeper and he goes and he has that experience, people don't realize how much just being a part of these groups matters for your development and your evolution as a player. And you might never get a minute in a World Cup, but the fact that you were in the camp, the fact that you were in there with those
Yeah.
guys, the fact that you were
Yes.
there supporting your number one goalkeeper and going, "Hey man, I'm not there yet. And I don't, I want your spot. I'm pushing you." And then you get your chance 4 years from now. Sean Johnson's young. These guys are still young.
Yeah.
They're goalkeepers. They got plenty of time to develop into some top level players. Tim Howard was a bit of a late bloomer.
Sure. Sure.
So
I mean, I don't know if you have a chance, and we can move on to group F, but real quick I don't know if you had a chance to like watch any of the YouTube videos that the U.S. men's national team are putting out beyond the badge. It's they are really good, and I'm
yeah.
telling you, behind the scenes,
Mhm.
these guys are connecting.
Yeah.
They are connecting in a way
That's
that
massive.
that you want your team to
Mhm.
connect. They're laughing, they're playing, they're having a good time playing freaking soccer.
Yeah.
And
Totally agree.
that's
Uh,
huge. That's huge.
having a group mentality
Mhm.
and sometimes relationships and a willingness to work for one another trumps a certain amount of maybe talent or something else, because sometimes you need a guy to dig deep. You don't need a guy
Yeah.
who can do 3 step overs. You need a guy who in the 91st minute says, "Shit, it's not my job to get back right now, but I'm going to get back and chase that ball and make sure it doesn't cross that goal line." You
Yeah.
need guys who are really down for the cause, and it's hard to be down for the cause if people aren't on the same page. And hearing that these guys are developing these relationships, and you saw Christian Pulisic hand the ball to Haji Wright and say, "Take this penalty kick," because they
Yeah.
came through together. Pulisic wants Haji Wright to be successful. You got to love that. You got to love this guy's going, you know what? If you succeed, we all succeed.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And last thing I'll say about it is do not forget, ladies and gentlemen, to watch this winter Yunus Musa.
Oh,
Musa
ooh.
is, I'm telling you,
I get chills, man.
the guy is fire. I mean, he has some downsides. He's indecisive at times, but the guy has all the skills. He's got all the skills that will make him maybe one of the better midfielders um, at the World Cup this year. I'm saying it.
I totally agree with you, and I'll take it a step further. Yunus Musa, Tyler Adams, and Weston McKennie
Oh,
would be a great package deal for just about any top level club in the world. Weston McKennie's been proven it at Juventus, and he's been linked with a lot of other top level clubs. Tyler Adams has been with Red Bull and is being linked with top level clubs. Yunus Musa's at Valencia, already a top level club. These are three solid on the cusp of being world class players. You got to give them time to develop. You got to give them game time. But I'm telling you, individually they're excellent, and together as a midfield three, tell you, talk to me in 2 years, I might want these guys at United.
he's
I
not even 20 years old yet. Dude.
I already want Weston McKennie,
Oh,
and I wouldn't turn down Tyler Adams.
oh my goodness, man! I'm telling you, we are set. We are set to move to our World Cup kind of analysis of the next group in our lineage, I guess you could say, Group F. And I will lay out Group F for us, and then I want you to just run for it, my friend. Maybe I will. Yep, here it is. Okay, Group F. Belgium, Canada, Morocco, and Croatia. What are your thoughts, my friend? What are your thoughts?
Dude, my thoughts are all over the place right now because of all of these groups. Every one of these teams has had good wins and bad losses within the last couple of months. And Belgium,
last Monday,
nominally favorites. And this is a generation, much like Portugal in 2006 and England at damn near every World Cup for the last 20 years. But you look at them and you're like, this is a generation that they've not quite gotten the accolades and the trophies to go with it that maybe they should. There's immense talent for Belgium, but it is aging. There are question marks about the squad, and they've gone deep into the last few tournaments and just not quite gotten over the hump. Canada, wow. I mean, obviously the best team in the CONCACAF region as far as World Cup qualifying goes, but they've been exposed a little bit recently, and I think I think Alphonso Davies is amazing, and he is a world-class player. Unfortunately for them, he's a left back, and I don't know that he's enough to be a game changer for them. I've watched them, and I think they're a very, very good club. Whereas Morocco, I don't know if Morocco's is as good a team as Canada is, but Morocco's got Mo Salah, and you got this guy wandering around who could win a game at any moment. Then you got Croatia, who they're old AF, but Luka Modric is proven that he's ageless, that he's setting up goals, he's doing crazy stuff. So, I mean, just to throw it out there,
I mean,
right? No, there's talent there, and they're bringing enough people in around it. I'm gonna kind of punt here and go with the obvious choices and say that Belgium wins the group and Croatia finishes second, but I wouldn't be surprised at anything in this group. I'm not gonna call it the group of death because I don't think they're all so strong.
no,
I think the problem is they're also questionable.
yes.
I don't have 100% confidence in any of these teams. And I look at some of these other groups and I'm like, you know what? France is going to get their shit together. There's too much talent there. They're going through. But I look at this group and I'm like, I could see Belgium falling apart. I could see Canada having a great tournament. I could see Morocco going Mo Salah. I could see Croatia just being like, yeah, we're too fucking old. We can't do this. Or vice versa, and just Belgium and Croatia going, we're so much better than you. I don't know, but I'm going with those two because it's those are the bets.
Wow. Well, man, I tell you, I'm on the same page with Belgium. I think Belgium figures a way. They figure out a way to not screw this group up for themselves.
Okay.
You know, I when you look at them, excuse me, when you look at them and you look at the players, right? Eden Hazard is like 564 years old, but the guy is awesome. You've got Kevin De Bruyne, you've got Romelu Lukaku, you know, Courtois is your goalkeeper. I mean, you're coming in, you know, both the Hazard boys, right? Or Hazard, you know,
Torgen.
Isn't that just? I love his name. Anyway,
it's badass.
I think they figure it out. I think they figure out a way to come together and to be like, you know what? Look, we are in this group. In my opinion, we are the superior team. We have the most talent collectively. So I'm good there with Belgium. I am going for a little bit of an upset. I'm going to say Morocco figures out a way to get through.
All right.
And my Moroccan player, dark horse player, is going to be Hakim Ziyech. For what he did with Chelsea this year, you know, in his flashes of brilliance, I think that when he suits up for Morocco, and they're out there on the pitch and they're able to get some stuff done, man. I think that they figure out a way and they cause enough problems that they figure out a way to get through. I'm with you as far as Canada is concerned. Yes, they are the champions of CONCACAF. Congrats. I think they peaked a little early. And I'm a big believer in the momentum, man. Big Mo. I really do think that, hey, you know what? You get used to playing teams, and they had our number and Mexico's number this year. But I think it's a different ball game when you get in to international play, and I think Canada will see that. I think they'll valiantly fight. I think that Croatia, Modric, those guys, I love them. I love to see them play. I just don't know if they have the legs to keep up with the rest of the group. So I'm going Belgium, Morocco in that order. Belgium finished first, Morocco second.
Let's see where we are here. I went Belgium, Croatia. You went Belgium, Morocco. So we were all right. We differ here. England, USA.
Are we salty? Are we salty towards Canada?
No, I wish them well. I just I think it really takes some time and experience to build up the understanding of what it takes to play at these tournaments. You need guys who've played at a high level in these moments to really understand what it takes. And don't get me wrong, anybody can have a run and all that jazz. But if you're really trying to analyze it and break it down, Canada just doesn't have enough guys at that level. You know, Alphonso Davies, Junior Hoylett. Beyond that, you can't really talk about a lot of guys that even have high-level club experience.
Sure.
So what Alphonso Davies brings to the table is massive. But he's a really big fish in a pond that's trying to get itself a little bit bigger, and they're just not quite there yet.
Yeah.
I wish him well. I have really, from a neutral's perspective, you know, which is difficult. We are competing against them, but I want Canada to do well. I want the whole region to be stronger.
Exactly.
I think Canada got on a good run for qualifying. I fear what might run into them at the World Cup.
Yeah. I'm with you on that.
So.
And so, with that, ladies and gentlemen, that is our run through of Group F of the 2022 World Cup. And so, ladies and gentlemen, with that, it is my pleasure. Oh, wait a minute. Wait. We got to let it hit first. I let it hit. Here it comes.
What?
Ladies and gentlemen, it's the Hey Aaron segment. Yes. Right? You feel that, don't you? You feel that.
That slaps.
So, ladies and gentlemen, if you are new to the show, which, unless you are one of our tens of listeners, this is the time.
This is going to get tens of views.
Yeah, exactly. This is the time in the show where it is my turn to kind of ask Aaron some questions or show him a video and kind of just get his, I'm going to use the word again, pontification. It's a good word.
Put that degree in philosophy to work.
So here's what we're going to do tonight. Tonight, I'm feeling kind of the Premier League blues, my friend. Just missing the old footy, missing us hanging out talking about the Blues and the Reds. So
I feel it.
I want to talk Reds tonight, my friend. I want to
All
talk
right.
Reds. Okay, so
you don't mean communists, do you?
Everybody gives communists a bad rap, but hey,
none more so than communists.
What? Whatever works for the people. There you go. No, I want to get your opinion. During the modern day Premier League era, which started in 1992, I believe.
Yes.
92, the top 3 Manchester United players during that era, up until now. In your opinion?
Because I'm this guy, I gotta ask questions for clarification. Okay. I need parameters. So,
no, go ahead.
Best players, important players, valuable players.
Ooh. Okay, here I've got an answer for that. Best all around players.
Okay.
Best all around players Manchester United has seen from 1992 until now.
The funny thing is my answer doesn't change a whole lot based on any of those responses. Okay. But I want to give them in no particular order because I think you could really, really weight all 3 of these guys in ways that I would have no problem agreeing with. Sure. If you said this, I want to weight this importantly, I would say, yeah, no problem. But I think all 3 of them have their place.
Okay. And you're going one at a time and talking about each one, right?
Yes.
Okay, cool.
The first is Eric Cantona. United got him in the early to mid 90s. It was kind of controversial. It was strange, but he was absolutely mercurial and a talisman and had wonderful control of the ball, if not himself at times, as evidenced by Kung Fu kicking a Crystal Palace fan. But he was the catalyst and the beacon around which the veteran players that existed at the time, but also the class of 92 rallied around and really became that first dominant force for Manchester United and the Premier League. I don't know if United would be the club they are today. And yes, we can talk about how that we're maybe at the downward trajectory, historically speaking, but they're still one of the massive clubs in the world. And I don't know that you'd be talking about Manchester United like that had Eric Cantona not come to Manchester United and not been the inspirational player that he was. So definitely Eric Cantona is on that list.
Okay.
Secondly, when it comes to just the best all-around players of not just the Premier League era and not for Manchester United, but of all time, Wayne Rooney is one of the most complete players and competitors you'll ever see in your entire life. And,
There he is.
it's strange. I think he maybe does not get the accolades because he was hyped so much so early. The songs about him being the white Pele, and he should have been the missing piece of the puzzle to get England a 2004 Euro or a 2006 World Cup or a 2010 World Cup. But when you look at what he's done as a United player, as an England player, caps, goals, you could show footage of Wayne Rooney in black and white, and your grandpa would be like, they don't build him like that anymore. Yeah, they do. His name's Wayne Rooney, and he's part of this generation, and he is absolutely the kind of player that you want on your team. You want to play with a guy who will absolutely give his every last. Look how young he is right there.
Yeah, I know, man.
And he will give his every last breath to your cause, and he'll do it with street style and guile and nous and just an innate understanding of this game in a way that you just he had flash for sure because it was a street game, but his fundamental skills and abilities, left foot, right foot, header, built like a bulldog. I mean, built just short, squatty kind of dude, but he'd gnaw your hand off if you were holding him. He'd punch you in the throat to get free, and then he'd drill it in the back of the net with absolute precision. Just one of the most complete players I've ever seen in my entire life. And I hope he goes on. He said it himself. He wants to be the manager of Manchester United, and he knows he has to learn at this lower level with these clubs, and he's doing it with Derby County and overcoming all sorts of administrative issues. And watching him as a player, I wouldn't put it past him that this man will go on and be Manchester United manager in the next decade.
So let me stop you from sharing the like. Have you gone from 3 to 2 to 1? Like
No.
The next one's your. Oh no, in no particular order.
No particular order. I think I'm doing it more historically. Cantona came first. Rooney came second.
Okay, and then what I'm going to do is just do this because oh my God, look at this lineup right here. I mean, you can have your choice.
Yeah.
So, but if he's not on here, that's fine. But who is your third pick?
And this is weird because it's rare that players have a time at a club, leave, and come back and then experience anything remotely like what they were doing before. But the first iteration of Cristiano Ronaldo at Manchester United was an evolution in not just Manchester United or the Premier League. It's the game. Cristiano Ronaldo has changed the game. And I'm not going to get into a Messi Ronaldo debate because I would say Messi has changed the game as well. But this is a conversation about Manchester United players. And if you look at what he was when he arrived at Manchester United, how he carried himself, and the player he turned himself into while at Manchester United, and then think about what he's been ever since. And it's just been a constant upward trajectory.
Oh yeah.
He's invented moves. He has influenced a generation of players. He has changed what you think can be done as a 37, 38-year-old professional athlete. He's still dominating people. And he came to Manchester United as what you would consider a true out-and-out winger, and has converted himself and was great at it for years, and has since converted himself into perhaps the deadliest striker the game has ever seen.
Yep.
And if you had one kick of the ball left in a game and anyone in the history of the game to choose from, I think an awful lot of people are choosing Cristiano Ronaldo to take that last touch, because He's ruthless. My comparison has always been that he is Kobe Bryant.
Oh yeah.
A player who came along generationally who said, I'm not just good, I'm great, and I consciously want to try to be the best player that's ever played this game, and I will do whatever it fucking takes to beat you, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And in a lot of ways, you'd be hard pressed to argue against either of those people. Kobe belongs in the conversation. Cristiano Ronaldo belongs in the conversation. I'll leave it to Twitter fanboys to go back and forth as to, oh, he takes too many penalties or this or that, whatever. I don't care. Cristiano Ronaldo is one of the most influential players in Premier League history and certainly Manchester United history. And I tell you, I'd play goalie in a 4-a-side with Eric Cantona, Cristiano Ronaldo, and Wayne Rooney any day of the week.
And ladies and gentlemen, that is the Hey Aaron segment for this week. And also that brings us to the end of the Red and the Blue Soccer Chat. But the beautiful part of this is that we get to hear the final words. We get to hear the final words from my good friend Aaron. He sends us off with some words of wisdom. So, my brother, what have you got for us this week? It has been a pleasure once again getting together with you. And, man, what you got for us?
Here's what I got. Going back to some things we touched on earlier. Over the weekend it was Father's Day. It was Juneteenth. It was an opportunity to think about the things that are important, the values that are important in this country, and how sometimes they conflict, they contradict one another. And I think we've seen, it's Pride, it's Juneteenth, it's Father's Day. This is an opportunity to think about ways to embrace one another, even when you may not recognize certain shared values. You've got them. A good father means an awful lot of different things to different people, but you know it when you have one. And I tell you what, more importantly, you know it when you don't have one. And Juneteenth is an opportunity to remember that there was a promise made to this country that for a long time was not lived up to, wasn't even tried to be lived up to. And it was some random military man who said that we're finally going to honor this. We're going to find these people in Texas who don't know that this shit's been over for a while. We're going to honor this legacy. We're going to look at Pride Month and say, hey, we say everybody's created equal. Well, it's a great time to celebrate, but remember, it took these people throwing a brick through a window to get rights that we say everybody deserved. So here's an opportunity for all of us to look at three different things, strange bedfellows they may be, and say, how do we move forward? What do we truly value? And ultimately, we're not all that far apart. You don't have to be a black man to recognize the value of Juneteenth. You don't have to be a gay woman to understand why pride is important. And you don't have to be a father to know why fathers are important to every one of us as well. So all I'll say is, let's take a moment, pause, and reflect. And if you haven't yet, look at my buddy Evan's words on Facebook about being a father on Juneteenth, and recognize that there's been great work done before us. There's been promises made, and there's still a lot of work to be done to live up to those promises and be the best version of ourselves that we can be. But we can do it. The fact that we've made these holidays, the fact that we've said this is important, says we delineate this. This is important. It's important to be a good father. It's important to remember what it took to be a free black man, black woman in this country, and what it took to be free and gay in this country. And all of those things are important to remember, whether they matter to you or not, because you recognize the value they present to this country as a whole. So take a moment and reflect, put the fist up. Hashtag say gay. Evan Casey.
Hashtag black people vote. Hit that theme music on our way out, my brother.
This is what we do here, folks. It's been a pleasure. I'm going to drink my Crimson Sash while my buddy drinks whatever he is drinking.
There you go. There you go.
There you go. And as ever,
it's been a pleasure.
We love you.
Yep.
Take it out. Beats!